Welcome to Up and Coming 2020, brought to you by Missouri Lawyers Media. And now give a warm virtual welcome to your host, Liz Irwin.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Liz Irwin, publisher of Missouri Lawyers Media. Welcome. We're so pleased and certainly honored to host again this year our Up and Coming recognition event. As you know, it's when we celebrate lawyers who are 40 years or younger or within the first 10 years of practice and who have shown professional and community leadership beyond their years. We'll also recognize this year's class of mentors, more experienced attorneys who've had a pivotal role developing next generation leaders. I have no doubt many of the recipients of their wisdom and patience are watching today. And while relevant health concerns have shifted this program to a virtual format, it does not detract from the celebration of the exceptional work we'll highlight today. In fact, we encourage you to help us make this an interactive program. You can do that by joining us on social media at hashtag MLMUpandComing2020 with an ampersand. Post your comments and cheer on your colleagues. And to our honorees, post your photos too. We want to see you holding your award with your friends, your family, whoever inspires you or supports you through your work. We want to socially engage and celebrate today, despite our distance limitations. While we aren't sure when we'll all come together again safely in a large group to celebrate and network face-to-face, one thing is clear. Now, more than ever, there's a need to recognize and thank Missouri's legal professionals who continue to lead during this difficulty. The up-and-coming attorneys we honor today are an inspiration to all of us. These honorees were carefully selected from scores of nominations and represent the epitome of exceptional work at such an early stage in their careers. They've had remarkable impact in the profession and in their communities, however they define that, in a very short time. But before we begin the introductions of our honorees, I want to extend a sincere and warm thank you to our sponsors. Without their support, this event would not be possible. I would like to warmly thank our VIP sponsors, Blitz, Barget, and Deutsch, the Gorney Law Firm, Langdon and Emerson, Thompson Coburn, Simmons, Hanley, Conroy. And we are so fortunate to have again this year our gold sponsor, the Bar Plan. We so very much appreciate their support. Again, without our sponsors, this event would not be possible. And you'll hear from many of our sponsors later in the program through shout-out videos they've created to celebrate their colleagues. So stay tuned to see those. This event began in 2008 as a way to recognize emerging leaders in the Missouri law community, a way to publicly laud early career highs that were surely the promise of even greater success as careers matured. Look back at our honorees through the past 13 years and you'll find early promise is indeed a harbinger of a stellar career. Those we honored then continue to excel in firms and organizations across the state and contribute to its exceptional legal community. The celebration has grown too in size and scope, even in this virtual format. But one aspect has remained steady. We have always received a high volume of nominations, and this year was no exception. To be nominated for this award means an attorney had a remarkable and positive professional impact on someone, for someone, with someone, so much so that the someone took the time to reach out to us and share. To be selected for this award among literally scores of worthy nominations is a testament to outstanding and consistent contribution to Missouri's legal community early in a career. This year, we celebrate the career successes of attorneys who will lead this profession into the future, and to those veterans who are helping shape those careers. And based on their achievements to date, that future is bright. But before we begin our introductions, I want to virtually welcome a special guest today. Retired U.S. District Judge Carol E. Jackson, the Missouri legal pioneer who was both the first African-American woman to serve on the bench of the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Missouri, and later the court's first African-American chief judge. Judge Jackson began her tenure with the court as a U.S. magistrate judge in 1986. 6 years later, President George H.W. Bush nominated her to serve as a U.S. District Judge. From 2002 to 2009, she served as Chief Judge of the Court where she was regarded as a trailblazer for her work to establish and support its treatment programs. Judge Jackson, who retired from the bench in 2017, also has served on a number of national advisory committees for the federal courts. Before joining the court, she practiced with what is now Thompson Coburn and with Mallinckrodt. In 2009, Missouri Lawyers Media honored her as its Woman of the Year in its annual Women's Justice Awards. Ladies and gentlemen, Judge Carol E. Jackson.
Hi, everyone. I want to begin by thanking Missouri Lawyers Media for inviting me to participate in this event. And I also want to congratulate all of the recipients of the Up and Coming Awards. You're truly an impressive group of people and clearly deserve the recognition that you're receiving today. When I was asked to speak to you, I have to confess that my initial reaction was to say no. Not because I didn't want to be here or to celebrate this event with you, but it was explained to me that you are a group of lawyers who, in a relatively short period of time, have distinguished yourselves through your personal and your professional leadership skills, as well as through your commitment to public service and community service. And so I wondered, what could I possibly say to lawyers who have accomplished so much so early in their careers? I practiced law for a little less than 10 years before I went onto the bench, and that was more than 30 years ago. So to say that the practice of law has changed dramatically since my day would be an understatement at best. Despite that, I've never forgotten what it was like to be a lawyer. And even though many years separate you and me, I still feel a kinship with each of you, not only because of our shared profession, but also because of our shared commitment to public service and community service. Like many of you, I found the pro bono work that I did as a lawyer was probably the most satisfying aspect of my practice, and the most memorable too. I learned so much from the individuals and nonprofits that I had the privilege to represent, and I wouldn't change those experiences for anything. But after giving it some thought, and after saying, yes, I would do this, I thought that the best advice that I could give to you is this. 1, keep doing what you're doing. And 2, do something else. Now, that may sound contradictory, but I can assure you it isn't. So just let me explain. Obviously, you've all been doing something right to get to this point. So keep doing what you're doing. Each of you has found something in your work that gives you personal satisfaction, whether it's the pro bono representation that you do or mentoring new lawyers. And finding that something is so important to longevity in this profession and important to your life after practice. But equally important is the positive impact that you have on your community and on the people that you come into contact with. My second piece of advice is do something else. And what I mean by that is to take time to develop interests and relationships outside of law, whether it's art, music, or my personal favorite, cooking, whatever you choose. Take advantage of the opportunities to expand your knowledge beyond the law, and I guarantee that you'll become a better lawyer by doing so. It's always been my belief that one reason lawyers, or some lawyers, never retire is because they become so identified with their work that they can't imagine doing anything else. I know that's true of judges, but don't tell anyone that I said that. So let me conclude by saying that you all represent the best the profession has to offer, and you should be so very proud of yourselves. So I wish you all continued success, and again, my congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Jackson. What an inspirational message. I'm honored to begin the introductions with a special recognition of our mentors, those who help the up-and-coming become the up-and-coming. There's little doubt that the attorneys we recognize later in today's program would share part of the credit for their success with someone who took the time to pay it forward, someone who helped smooth a path that for them had been rocky. So it's my privilege to continue the Missouri Lawyers Media tradition of not only honoring the up-and-coming, but recognizing those who generously help to inspire, those who help to shape the ones who follow. Ladies and gentlemen, our honored mentors.
Wendy Alper Pressman is a partner at Lathrop GPM. Her principal focus is on the representation of both borrowers and lenders in connection with construction financing, asset-based loan facilities, and commercial real estate loans.
I've shepherded, a number of companies through financings to improve and help them grow their businesses, and have helped banks structure loans so that their customers are poised for success going forward.
Wendy brings over 35 years of experience through multiple business cycles to both financial institutions and their customers. She has represented developers, business owners, regional banks, national banks, community banks, and finance companies in loan workouts and restructurings, forbearance agreements, foreclosures, bankruptcy procedures, enforcement actions, lender liability, and other litigation.
Always put your clients' interests first. Don't let your ego get into the way of a good result. I tend to start a conversation with the client, asking them what their definition is of success or a win, and then work towards that.
Wendy's bankruptcy experience ranges from the preparation of routine filings on behalf of unsecured creditors to the development and implementation of sophisticated strategies on behalf of secured creditors, equipment lessors, landlords, and official unsecured creditors committees, including retiree committees. She has represented purchasers of distressed assets both inside and outside of bankruptcy proceedings, and has litigated dischargeability complaints, preferences and fraudulent conveyance actions, issues relating to the allowance of claims, validity of liens, and executory contracts. Lisa Larkin has practiced exclusively in litigation and appeals since 1996. Her practice is concentrated in appeals and complex motions, personal injury defense, medical malpractice defense, and business litigation.
You have to figure out what you want your career and your practice to look like sort of early on. The practice of law is not one size fits all. And so I think a young attorney needs to figure out how they want their career to look instead of just being just following the way everybody else does it.
Her litigation experience includes both state and federal courts in Missouri and Illinois, as well as appellate work in the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals, the Missouri Court of Appeals, the Missouri Supreme Court, the 7th Circuit Court of Appeals, the Illinois Court of Appeals, and the Illinois Supreme Court.
My biggest accomplishment has been practicing law while also teaching fourth grade. I had at the end of last year a fourth grader. She shared this room with me. This was our law office / fourth grade classroom. She sat at the table next to me, and in between answering emails, I also taught long division and researched the state of Maine and practiced all 50 states and their capitals.
Lisa is the editor of the firm's Illinois Law blog and has co-authored a chapter of the Mobar Damages CLE book on environmental law and toxic torts. Before entering law school in 1992, Lisa worked as an assistant trade analyst at the Italian Trade Commission in Chicago. Andrew Scarvato is an attorney and partner with Stinson LLP. He is a litigation strategist and experienced trial lawyer who represents financial institutions and other businesses in a variety of commercial litigation matters, including class actions.
My favorite moment that I remember the best from practice is what I believe was my best courtroom performance, which is a really challenging notion in a big case. There are a lot of people in the courtroom, other lawyers, media, and I ended up losing, which is funny, but I still felt like it was my best performance, win or lose, irrespective of the result. And that, to me, just stands out today. I still remember that for some reason.
Andrew also investigates and resolves a variety of complex disputes, including lawsuits involving business and personal torts. His business representing both plaintiffs and defendants gives him a unique perspective on examining witnesses, conducting investigations, and digging for evidence.
What I'll never forget is there were times where I would work a lot and try to do everything and take everything, and do as much work as I possibly could. And, obviously that can cause issues that can get in the way of doing a good job and being thorough. I was told that nobody will ever remember how many hours you build in a given year or a given month. This was not meaningful, but the quality of your work makes a strong impression that's hard to forget.
Andrew serves on the firm's pro bono and associate development committees. Andrew graduated from the Washington University in St. Louis School of Law.
What an impressive group of attorneys. They're truly paying it forward. And now I introduce to you our honorees in the public service category. These attorneys are performing exceptional work for government or nonprofit organizations.
Chrissy Del Percio is an attorney at the Legal Aid of Western Missouri. As a law student, she worked at the domestic unit at Legal Aid of Western Missouri, where she helped serve victims of domestic violence and divorce cases. After graduation, she was hired full-time as an Order of Protection attorney at Legal Aid. She has served as the co-chair of Domestic Violence Alliance CLE for several years.
I had a case in juvenile court. I was appointed to represent what was essentially a stepdad. There were 3 little girls that were under the jurisdiction of the juvenile court, and this man was doing a step-parent adoption on the little girls. They were very sweet. They spoke Spanish, and we would go to juvenile court, and they would always want me to sit with them at the tiny little juvenile tables that I was much too big for, but they would insist that I sit in the tiny seats. So I would be sitting there with these little girls in the tiny seats, like practicing my Spanish. And it was one of my happiest memories, that exact moment. But those girls, they finally got released from jurisdiction. Stepdad adopted them. They're all very happy. And they kept in contact with me for quite a while.
As part of her service to the community, she plans and executes an annual session for lawyers and non-lawyers to learn about domestic violence. She is also co-chair of the Juvenile Law Committee. In addition, Chrissy was the president of the UMKC Family Law Society from 2011 to 2013. Outside of her legal aid position, Chrissy visits women at the local domestic violence shelters to help share information and answer legal questions. She instructs a pro se clinic to help people who can't afford an attorney but need assistance with pro se forms so they can get a divorce.
Don't let anyone know you're afraid, which is a weird thing to say when you're an attorney, but especially when you're a young lawyer and you're not sure what's going on, it's really easy to look nervous or have that self-doubt. But as long as you always remember, don't let them know you're afraid and you act confident, it'll get you much, much further than sometimes when you even know what you're talking about.
Michelle Cocaine is an assistant prosecuting attorney with the Clay County Prosecutor's Office since 2016. Prior to her time there, she was a legal counsel with the Missouri Department of Revenue, and she also served as a law clerk to the Honorable Judge Jalila Otto, Jackson County Circuit Court.
I actually was on maternity leave for the first part of the year, and then COVID happened. So my year has been a little bit stunted. But last year I was able to try quite a few jury trials. And one of them, we got a verdict against someone who was abusing his stepdaughter. And I felt pretty proud of that. He's in prison now.
Michelle graduated from the University of Missouri-Kansas City School of Law. She is also currently a volunteer committee member at the Foundation for Lawyers Encouraging Academic Performance.
Continue to build your professional network and make sure that you are courteous to everyone. Even on your bad days, make sure that you are being polite and nice to people, because the legal community is incredibly small, and really your reputation is your biggest asset as an attorney. So you want to make sure that you act with integrity as well.
Matthew Sparks has been an assistant U.S. attorney for the Western District of Missouri since 2015. Prior to this position, Matthew was an associate with Brian Cave in their commercial litigation practice group. He was also a law clerk for the Honorable Brian C. Wimes in the U.S. District Court for the Western District of Missouri.
I work in an office where doing the right thing is the guiding principle. And as a case in point, I had a case where it was a very small issue, but I did a probably overly professional gesture to help out opposing counsel. And after the hearing, while still on the record, opposing counsel acknowledged that. And the federal judge stated that they would always expect that from me. And they knew that that is what they would get from me when I walked into their courtroom.
Matt received his Juris Doctor from the University of Missouri-Kansas City School of Law.
My dad, he was the one that really talked to me about how if you want to become a lawyer, make sure you enjoy the law. And so I really took some time before going to law school to figure out, what does an attorney do? What does actually practicing law entail? And making sure that at least I thought I knew what it entailed, and made sure that's what I wanted to do with my life and do with my career.
Alexandra Wilson has been the Assistant Attorney General for the Missouri Attorney General's Office since 2017, working in the Labor Division and Fraud and Noncompliance Unit.
It is important to be a good lawyer, but it's more important to be a good person. It is vital, even though our job is full of stress, to remember that the stress is not tied to the person, it's tied to the case. And your reputation will go with you way past that one case. So remembering always to treat people as people, not based off of the case, but based off of who they are.
Prior to working in the Attorney General's office, Alexandra was a law clerk to Judge Thomas Newton of the Missouri Court of Appeals, Western District. She earned her Juris Doctor from the University of Missouri-Kansas City School of Law and is currently an active member of the Junior League of Kansas City, Missouri.
I will say this award is one of the biggest accomplishments because I have dedicated my career to public service, and this really shows me that I'm on the right track. And even though I love what I'm doing, other people are seeing what I'm doing too, and that really does make me feel good. But my biggest goal would be related to mentorship. I was able to transition 2 interns through both an in-person to a virtual internship during my course of each of their semesters. And to watch them grow and to kind of guide them through that was gigantic.
Good afternoon. I'm Johnny Aguirre, Advertising Director of Missouri Lawyers Media. Congratulations to all of our honorees today. As a reminder, as Liz said earlier, each of you has a very important role in today's live stream virtual event. This is an interactive event, so as you post to Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram using hashtag MLM UpAndComing 2020, many of your comments and some of your photos are appearing live during our program. This is how you can interact with other guests and virtually applaud for the honorees. With that explanation, we'll move to our next group of honorees. Before we begin the introduction of our next group of honorees, I do want to make note of one program detail. With such a high number of honorees, we had a few honorees who couldn't make a Zoom interview. Whether it's a conflict with a court date or a client need, It happens on occasion, and we most certainly understand. It doesn't take away from our appreciation for their work or from the highly deserved recognition itself. However, in the interest of your time today, we won't introduce those who couldn't make the video interviews. All of our honorees and their professional accomplishments are featured in a special awards section published in this week's issue of Missouri Lawyers Weekly and on our website at molawyersmedia.com. So with that quick programming moment, we're now going to begin the presentation of our general up-and-coming category. The lawyers on this list hold a variety of positions in a variety of firms and companies. They come from large firms to solos and everything in between. They're from all over the state and practice all types of law. But here's what they have in common. Each is accomplished and exhibited day in and day out remarkable dedication to the profession and their communities.
Andrew Alexander began his legal career as a judicial clerk to the Honorable J. Thomas Martin, Chief Judge of the U.S. District Court for the District of Kansas. As an attorney at Graves Garrett, Andrew represents clients in a variety of complex litigation matters, including commercial litigation, campaign finance and election law, constitutional law, and white-collar criminal defense.
I love it when I come up with a good solution. I love the process of coming up with solutions to our problems, to our clients' problems. I love, interacting with my clients and understanding that what we're doing is very valuable to them and that it means a lot to them.
He graduated magna cum laude from the University of Missouri Kansas City School of Law, where he served as lead literary editor of the UMKC Law Review and earned the distinct honor of being named to the Order of Barristers.
Try to surround yourself with people who are honest and excellent practitioners of the law. We tend to be like those we're around. If we surround ourselves with folks who are better at all sorts of things than we are, then that's what we'll tend to be.
In his off time, Andrew volunteers in ministry and community music events. He is also an avid motorcyclist, master mechanic, musician, and instrument-rated pilot. Prior to joining Polsinelli, Catherine Allen was Associate Corporate Counsel for a leading financial services data and analytics company in Dallas, Texas. Catherine began her legal career as an in-house attorney, which offered her a unique understanding on the needs of an organization when it comes to utilizing technology and intellectual property to promote its business goals.
If you follow the crowd, you'll go no further than the crowd. But if you follow your own path, you'll find things that nobody else has. And I think that is incredibly important in this day and age where we're not really working together so much anymore. It is important to have that sense of adventure and to have the confidence to strike out a little bit on your own.
Her practice focuses on the often intersecting areas of information security and privacy, technology licensing and use, and intellectual property protection and monetization.
I think that we have all proved that we can be very nimble, that we can address change maybe better than we all individually thought we could. I think it's a really positive time for our industry, a really positive thing for people who want to be lawyers. That flexibility is really important in work life.
The primary industries Catherine works with include healthcare, financial services, technology startups, and entrepreneurial space, including craft breweries, software developers, and technology outsourcers.
One of the things I'm most proud of in my career were the times where clients asked me to come and work specifically for them within their organization for a short period of time. I think secondments are one of the ways that a client puts their most trust in you. And it can be a really high honor, especially if you are an associate or up and coming in your career.
Isla Alunovich joined the Schechter Law Firm in December 2016 as an associate attorney specializing in complex family law matters. She graduated from Valparaiso University School of Law in Valparaiso, Indiana.
The best advice I got is treat everyone with kindness and don't take cases too personally. There's going to be results you don't like. You have to work hard, advocate for your client, do the best you can, but don't take things too personally at the end of the day.
Isla has done pro bono work with lawyers advocating for abused women in St. Louis, Missouri, and the Department of Children and Family Services in Chicago, Illinois. She is also a volunteer with Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Always remember to be kind. You don't know what is going on in everyone's personal lives and what else is going on. So be kind, from the clerks to the judges to your opposing counsels. You may not see eye to eye, but it never hurts to treat everyone with kindness.
Her family emigrated from Bosnia, and she is a proud member of the Bosnian community in St. Louis, speaking fluent Bosnian, Croatian, and Serbian.
20 has actually been kind of an amazing year for me, which is a little scary to say. I became a partner in July of this year at my law firm. I also did my first webinar, CLE, which was a nationwide CLE for MBI. I also co-authored an article for the Missouri Bar Journal, and I purchased my first home.
She says she chose to become an attorney to give a voice to those in need and help make a complex system easier to understand. Danielle Atchison practices in the area of corporate immigration law at the Ndivani Corporate Immigration Law Firm. She assists employers with immigration compliance plans, policies and procedures, I-9 audits, E-Verify compliance, and immigration-related defense from ICE worksite enforcement investigations. Danielle assists the firm's clients with visas for international personnel, investors, and executives.
We as a team at the firm have put all in. And I think that's an accomplishment, to not really lose your marbles during something like this and just totally get out of the industry and switch it up is huge. To stay strong and moving forward and progressing and making sure our clients don't really feel a skip in the beat here, that we're just trucking along. I think that's a major accomplishment, and I'm going to take it and run with it.
She is also an adjunct professor of law by the University of Missouri-Kansas City School of Law. She teaches practical, hands-on credit hour courses every year, alternating between corporate immigration compliance, U.S. employer options for international personnel visas, and relief for immigrant survivors of domestic violence under the Violence Against Women Act.
Make sure to network, to get out even when it's uncomfortable, to bother those fancy, highfalutin lawyers that have been in the practice for decades, to bother them, network, meet people, because you can learn so much from other people in your industry, and it's very intimidating to do that. I know I hated it as a young lawyer, and then I grew to love it because now I have lots and lots of friends. So going to the events, whether virtual or in person, are much more fun for me because I went through the process of networking and meeting a lot of people in our industry.
Jonathan Benavides received his Juris Doctor from the University of Kansas School of Law and joined Baker, Sturkey, Cowden, and Rice in 2009. John Benavides focuses his practice on the defense of corporate clients in the areas of transportation, products liability, premises liability, employment and labor, consumer protection, and commercial litigation. In addition, John also represents employers before the National Labor Relations Board in union representation proceedings and unfair labor practice proceedings.
Had a few results for clients that I've been proud of. One of those things would be, I obtained a dismissal for about 40 separate charges filed in the National Labor Relations Board for one of my clients. That's one that jumps out because it was fairly recent. But look, I'm just proud of being able to provide service and help my clients through a rather difficult year.
He also advises executives, managers, and supervisors on union awareness and positive employee relations, and assists employers in connection with union card signing efforts, traditional union representation, and corporate campaigns. John has also served as an adjunct instructor at a local college on business law.
Don't be afraid to challenge yourself, to put yourself out there. Take on responsibilities that sometimes, frankly, don't feel like, you're might even be ready for. But you learn through practicing. That's why they call it practicing law. So I would just say, put yourself out there and really, challenge yourself.
Ashley Benoist joined Stanton Barton LLC as Senior Associate in 2019. Prior to joining the team, Ashley represented clients in personal injury, premise liability, products liability, toxic tort, and commercial matters.
A legal degree is just so useful And you don't have to be a litigator, right? There's so many other things you can do. You can go into human resources, you can go in-house somewhere. There are just so many opportunities for people who have legal degrees that I fully encourage it whenever someone tells me that they're interested in pursuing it. I just think it's a great field to go into.
Ashley has litigation experience in both state and federal jurisdictions. She also spent 2 legislative sessions working as a legislative attorney for the Missouri House of Representatives, where she focused on areas dealing with transportation, public safety, taxation, and workforce development.
Always volunteer to help, always say yes, never say no. That's advice that's really treated me well throughout my career. I think it makes you look like a go-getter. It makes you the reliable person that partners and other associates and support staff can turn to.
Prior to founding the Binder firm, Kellison Binder served as a judicial law clerk for the Honorable Janet R. Roadcap of the 16th Judicial Circuit. Kellison focuses her practice on probate, estate planning, prenuptial agreements, postnuptial agreements, and various family law matters.
Most important thing for me when I started my own firm was the people that I knew, the people that I had had contact with, that I had developed a relationship and felt comfortable asking questions or asking for support, or having cases referred to me. That ended up being a make or break difference in my experience. So I always tell young attorneys to put a lot of effort and resources into building those networks.
She is also an active attorney in the Kansas City legal community, serving as a committee vice chair for the Young Lawyers Public Relations Committee and sitting on the board of directors for the Kansas City Metropolitan Bar Foundation. Kellison is a native of Missouri, born and raised in Chillicothe.
My favorite moment as an attorney is usually winning in general, just winning. But if we weren't going to just say winning, I would have to say probably the best overall moment is I had a client. His name is Rip, is a nickname, and I call him Rip. But he and I have become very close friends. And I threw his birthday party at my house this year. He's in his late 80s, and so we had a big birthday party for him.
Kellison is the first attorney in her family. She received her Juris Doctorate degree from the University of Missouri School of Law. She is passionate about advocating for her clients and providing a sound legal voice to families in Kansas City. Jenna Brofsky is Senior Associate with Hush Blackwell and has been with the firm since 2017. Jenna also serves as councilwoman in Fairway, Kansas. At the firm, Jenna's practice includes counseling clients as part of due diligence for corporate deals. She also works closely with local startup companies, providing advice on employment matters that arise when hiring and employing a new workforce.
Even though the pandemic has been absolutely terrible, I feel really lucky that I've been able to use my legal skills to help businesses move forward. And part of that was launching this return to work or COVID-19 policy generator. And it allows businesses to really easily put in their information and not spits out, but it results in this policy that helps ensure that they're following guidance of the CDC, that they're keeping their workforce safe, and that they're able to keep moving their business forward. And that's been really rewarding for me.
She received her Juris Doctor from the George Washington University Law School. She also volunteers as a coach with Girls on the Run of Greater Kansas City and serves as president of the Young Professionals Board at Jewish Vocational Service of Kansas City.
I think when you're starting out, you're really focused on doing good quality work, and that's important, but also forming the relationships with people who you can seek advice from is equally as important.
Hi, we are Lori and Joe Brofsky, the very proud parents of Jenna Brofsky.
Since Jenna was a young girl, she's always given her all to everything she sets her mind to. So it doesn't surprise us that she has achieved success in her chosen field of law. Jenna's also always been community-minded, volunteering at a young age for multiple causes, joining service programs both here and abroad, and now currently serving in local government.
Thank you to the Missouri Lawyers Media for awarding Jenna the up-and-coming award.
Congratulations, Jenna. We love you.
Alexander Brown graduated cum laude from the University of Pennsylvania and the University of Michigan Law School. Prior to joining Lathrop GPM, Alex was a member of an international law firm based in Chicago and managed cases for its global insurance sector and insurance litigation practice.
When you get an answer that's good enough, stop asking questions. Because something I learned very early on was that you want to when you're talking to a witness, you want the ideal answer. But if you get close enough, stop asking, because you might get a follow-up response that is not what you want to hear.
At Lathrop GPM, Alex is one of the leaders for civil rights insurance recovery practice, which litigates 1983 civil rights claims on behalf of exonerees who were wrongfully imprisoned, and has represented several Fortune 500 companies in high-stakes lawsuits.
Client responsiveness, being responsive to a client, was the most important thing about being an attorney. And as a perfectionist, it was always important for me to try to get, when I had to give an answer, to get the exact right answer. But I think it's more important to stay in contact with your clients as much as possible.
During his undergrad years, Alex trained to become an outdoor guide, spending 3 months hiking through the Alaskan wilderness, foraging his food. Before law school, Alex spent a year volunteering as a member of AmeriCorps Vista in Kansas City, helping to provide capital and education to small business entrepreneurs. After Ann Vaterot Bruntrager interned for the Legal Associates for Abused Women in St. Louis, she knew that family law was the place for her to practice. Ann went on to work as a student attorney for the Catholic Legal Assistance Ministry and spent a year handling every type of family law issue imaginable for people who needed help but could not afford it.
No one's going to turn down a free cup of coffee. So just pick people's brains and get information, and it can help you get jobs, maintain jobs, and help you in the profession.
Since 2019, she has been an attorney with the Bardol Law Firm. Ann received her Juris Doctor from St. Louis University School of Law, St. Louis, Missouri.
Having some successful trials via Zoom or WebEx, it's been pretty hard to navigate, and it's hard on clients, but it was really hard at first, and I think I finally got it down. So I think that is a pretty big accomplishment to be able to kind of start a trial, end a trial, and be successful with, testimony and witnesses via Zoom.
Christopher Dandurand graduated cum laude from the University of Missouri School of Law, where he was Order of the Coif and honored with the Missouri Law Review's Award for Best Student Note. After law school, Chris served as a law clerk to the Honorable Patricia Breckenridge, judge for the Supreme Court of Missouri.
Be an advocate for your own career. And what I mean by that, or what it meant to me, I guess, is that nobody's going to make sure that you advance in the way that you want to advance. So your boss or your employer or your coworkers, they don't know what you want to do unless you tell them. And second of all, it's not really their job to make sure you get where you want to go. So again, take charge of your own career.
Prior to joining the Gorney Law Firm, Chris was in private practice at a business litigation boutique, where he practiced in wage and hour, consumer class action, and complex business litigation.
One of the best moments that I had as an attorney actually happened late last year. There was an article published by Missouri Lawyers Weekly that had a quote from me in it, also talking about a sunshine law case that I had worked on, and it was on the front page. And then next to it on the front page was an article quoting my dad. So at the end of the day, it was pretty neat to see two articles on the front page, one about me and one about my dad.
Chris currently serves on the board of the Young Lawyers section for the Kansas City Metropolitan Board Association and the Lawyers Association of Kansas City. He is an active member of the Nelson Atkins Museum of Art, Young Friends of Art, and the Mizzou Alumni Association, Kansas City chapter.
Congratulations to my law partner, Chris Dandurand. The award may say up and coming, but in many respects you've already arrived. Great work and well deserved.
For over a decade, Dion Green successfully advocated for some of the largest corporations and schools in the world. Handling high-profile national lawsuits, he became a partner at Armstrong Teasdale.
Focus on the truth. Focus on the truth. Focus on the facts. Focus on client service, making a difference in the community. And if you can do those things and keep client service a priority, you will be successful.
In 2019, he founded DCG Law Firm and now advocates for individuals, victims of unfair practices, students, and small and mid-sized businesses. Dion advocates on behalf of clients wronged in their employment and civil rights, including discrimination, harassment, retaliation, bullying, and assault and battery.
I like trying cases. I really do enjoy trying cases and being in the courtroom in front of jurors. And believe it or not, although I've won a lot more than what I've lost, some of the losses really taught me some huge lessons, and I think really propelled me to want to become better, learn, and grow.
Dion represents small and mid-sized businesses in breach of contract cases, trademark, franchise, and business litigation, recovering hundreds of thousands of dollars on behalf of clients. One of Dion's clients said, "Dion is a very knowledgeable, talented, and hard-working attorney. Because of his diligent work on our cases, we achieved favorable results."
Many times you forget the simplest things, which is to have fun. It's a privilege to be able to serve people and to be able to use these skills that you've been given. So be encouraged, have fun, have integrity.
Richard W. Hill III joined Lashley & Bayer in 2015 and practices in the areas of healthcare law and corporate law, with an emphasis on regulatory defense, healthcare fraud and abuse compliance, and corporate transactions.
I did my first appellate trial, or I guess appellate hearing this year, an appellate briefing, and we actually won those, and now we should be able to apply for attorney's fees actually on them. So that's got me pretty pumped this year.
He has experience representing healthcare professionals and facilities in all phases of litigation against government agencies, contractors, and licensing bodies.
Make sure this is really something you want to do. And then, yeah, of course, I think giving it your all, wherever position you're in law, I guess opportunities seem to materialize when you're trying to get the most out of what you're doing.
Richard is involved in all phases of helping healthcare entities, from initial setup to licensing to purchasing major medical equipment. Richard earned his Juris Doctor from St. Louis University School of Law with a concentration in healthcare law.
Good afternoon. I'm Cindy Lash, editor of Missouri Lawyers Media. I'll continue with our honorees in a moment, but first, a word about the methodology behind these awards. Narrowing down the impressive batch of nominees to our award winners is no small task. Our editorial team and publisher begin by reviewing recommendation letters, resumes, and other supporting documents. And as we've already discussed, we had a high volume of nominations this year. So after we've reviewed all of those materials, we meet as a committee to compare notes and begin paring the list down to the cream of the crop. We look at a nominee's recent accomplishments, pace of career advancement, noteworthy cases, volunteer service, and a number of other factors. We whittle the list down to a first cut, then do another round of reviews to determine the final selection. Ultimately, winners are selected for demonstrating excellence in the legal profession and in their commitment to their communities. Remember, keep socially active with us by posting comments to #MLM UpAndComing2020. The bottom of the screen is full of what is the new norm for virtual cheers, applause, handshakes, high fives, and hugs. So keep them coming. And with that, meet our next group of honorees in our general up-and-coming category.
Christine Brady Hoig has been an associate with Polsinelli since 2012. She has experience in handling a wide variety of commercial real estate finance transactions, including originating, servicing, and restructuring of clients' real estate loans. Christine's practice focuses on the national representation of mortgage loan originators in structuring and documenting real estate loans for securitization in the commercial mortgage-backed securities industry.
Ask as many questions as possible.
Don't be afraid to ask questions. It's important to know what you're doing. It's important to make sure that people around you are aware of how eager you are to learn. And when you ask good questions, even if it's a lot of questions, now that I'm on the other side and helping to train people, I've started to notice that does make me want to help them more.
She currently concentrates on closing transactions for lenders' floating rate programs, secured by properties that generally do not yet qualify for permanent financing. She has been involved in numerous loan transactions and enjoys the opportunity to handle new issues and challenges.
Getting to run deals on my own, feeling the support and feeling the respect of my shareholders that I work with have now become almost more like colleagues of mine. They trust my work. So that was a big moment.
Amy Jackson is an associate attorney at Williams Dirks Dameron. She represents clients on an individual and class-wide basis in a broad range of legal disputes. Her practice primarily focuses on class actions, commercial litigation, wage and hour class litigation, workplace discrimination, personal injury, and employment contract disputes.
I'm very thankful because I do have a lot of mentors, and I feel like I've gotten a lot of great advice from all of them. The one thing I think that stands out the most is to be your own advocate. And I've learned this as my career has progressed. If you want to take a harder assignment or a more difficult task, I think, putting yourself out there and speaking up and kind of saying, I think I'm ready to try this. I think I'm ready to work on this. It really helps you. And I think, if you sit around and wait, you may not always have those opportunities.
Prior to law school, Amy was a paralegal for a nationally based litigation firm and was part of trial teams litigating cases across the United States. During school at the University of Missouri-Kansas City School of Law, Amy excelled as a member of the editorial board for Law Review. Amy lives in Kearney, Missouri, and enjoys spending time with family and friends, as well as volunteering at St. James's Kitchen.
We all represent one side and you advocate for that client, but not letting it get, extreme or taking the other side personal to where, you're questioning your abilities. At the end of the day, everyone's there to do their job and advocate for their own client. And so I think you can be nice while doing that and learn not to take it too personal.
Before joining Thompson Coburn, Nicole Job served as an in-house attorney for a regional skilled nursing and assisted living facility operator.
The best advice I received was to trust but verify. Originally, I thought it was that no one trusted anything I said or did, and that was why, is that you needed to verify. And now that I'm a partner, I realize that it's very important that I also myself trust but verify everything that I receive.
Nicole advises healthcare providers and health plans on structuring transactions and analyzing healthcare regulatory issues. Nicole also has experience with acquisitions of health plans and healthcare providers. She drafts risk-sharing agreements, provider agreements, and downstream service agreements for providers, health plans, and vendors across the country.
I think starting out, the most important thing, at least for me and what I like to see, you ask a lot of questions, and it just shows that you don't want to be scared to ask questions. It doesn't make you look dumb. It shows that you are, thinking about the issues and being critical. So I think it's important to ask questions.
Nicole has been directly involved in advising healthcare systems during the COVID-19 pandemic as they cope with unprecedented financial and operational challenges.
Professionally, I think the biggest accomplishment is I've been representing healthcare clients and them navigating the millions of dollars that they're receiving from the federal government in grant money to help them, stay alive during the pandemic.
Kenneth Kinney is a partner at the Ralston Kinney LLC firm. Their areas of expertise include employment discrimination, wrongful termination, sexual harassment, and discrimination in public places.
My very first court appearance was my final semester of law school. I was a Rule 13 student, and I had the opportunity to go argue before the Missouri Supreme Court. So that was my first in-court appearance. Not quite as a lawyer, but I was arguing as a lawyer that day.
Kenneth graduated cum laude from the University of Missouri, Kansas City School of Law. Kenneth is a member of the Missouri Association of Trial Attorneys and the National Employment Lawyers Association.
Take advantage of every opportunity that's before you. Ask to get involved with trials or depositions or hearings, and just develop good habits inside and outside of your practice.
After graduating with honors from law school, Erin Lawrence served as a law clerk to the Honorable Michael W. Manners in the Circuit Court of Jackson County, Missouri. Following her clerkship, Erin began private practice, representing both employees and employers in employment discrimination and wrongful termination litigation.
Growing up, I told my mom when I was 3 years old that I wanted to be a judge. And then I figured out that I had to be a lawyer first. So as a lawyer, I guess that my clients' stories inspire me day to day, and being able to tell their stories to the world is so important to me and really keeps me going.
Erin provides counseling to employers regarding day-to-day employment law issues, including corporate training events. She serves as an independent investigator related to employment and other matters for a variety of organizations. She also represents plaintiffs in personal injury and consumer protection disputes.
Become an expert on the case law involved, the facts, anticipate what the other side is going to argue or how a judge or jury will view your case. And that may feel like grunt work at the beginning, but it's the important work in the case, and it'll make you a better lawyer.
Erin is a FINRA public arbitrator. Erin lives in Midtown, Kansas City with her husband, their son, when he's back from college, and their dogs. Landon Magnuson joined Withers, Brandt, Igoe, and Mullenix in 2019. Landon focuses his practice on trial and appellate litigation on behalf of a wide variety of clients, from large corporations to small businesses and individuals. After graduating from law school, Landon honed his skills under the tutelage of appellate judges during clerkships on the United States Court of Appeals for the 8th Circuit and the Supreme Court of Missouri.
I had to write it down, so let me just read it for you. He says, resist the urge to think of your career as a ladder. Instead, think of your career as a rock climbing wall. There are a lot of different ways to get where you want to go, and sometimes you have to move sideways or even down to find the best path to get there.
Since then, he has taken on and won a number of appeals in both federal and state appellate courts. On days when Landon is not serving his clients, he enjoys spending time with his 3 children, catching up on the latest French political scandals, and discovering his next favorite indie rock band.
Find someone who believes in you and latch on. Find an experienced lawyer who believes in you, and it could be for whatever reason, and just latch on. Make sure to make good direct contact, speak to that person a lot, and follow up.
Jennifer Maloney's practice with Baker, Sturkey, Cowden, and Rice is focused on civil litigation defense, primarily in the areas of premises liability, product liability, personal injury, and transportation.
I like to help people. I like to almost like prevent bad things from happening if possible.
Experienced working with in-house counsel, claims adjusters, third-party administrators, business owners, and risk managers, Jennifer represents a variety of clients in the construction, healthcare, insurance, manufacturing, pharmaceutical, and transportation industries in federal and state courts across Missouri and Illinois.
I'm proud of the fact that I've been able to maintain client relationships, even though remotely and strange, and we've all had to make do in different social circumstances. Zoom coffee and Zoom happy hours are a new thing. But I'm happy with the fact that we've all been able to do that, and that me personally has been able to do that and maintain those relationships through this pandemic.
Jennifer is currently serving as president of the St. Clair County Bar Association. She is also an active member of the Bar Association in Metropolitan St. Louis. Lindsay Matthews grew up in Kansas City and attended the University of Kansas, where she received a degree in Spanish, Latin American Studies, and History. She received her law degree from the University of Missouri Kansas City School of Law. Lindsay specializes in family law at Gordon Law Firm and is passionate about advocating and guiding people through their domestic legal issues.
In this last year, I can recall getting a judgment back where one of my clients was able to continue to send her child to school based on her address, even though the other parent had relocated. That was one that really stuck out to me this year.
Before attending law school at the University of Missouri, Kansas City, Lindsay taught for 3 years and worked as a staff member for 2 years with Teach for America, and is frequently appointed as a guardian ad litem, someone who will advocate for the best interest of a child in court. Today, she lives in Kansas City with her dog Lola.
There's a variety of groups that I've been lucky to be involved in. The Association for Women Lawyers is one of them. I have a connections group that I'm involved in. And it's important to surround yourself with people who you know will support you no matter what, praise you when you're doing good, and then help pick you up when you're struggling. And to have that group of people around to make sure that you know that you're not alone when you're going through this as an attorney, especially starting out.
Patrick McAndrews is a member of the litigation and dispute resolution team at Spencer Fane. Patrick helps small and medium-sized businesses resolve complex legal disputes quickly and efficiently, so the client can get back to focusing on running a successful business.
My biggest accomplishment this year, besides for making partner at a firm I really enjoy and love working at, is starting the Spencer Fane Startup Lab, which is something I advocated for here in the firm, and I'm co-chair on the committee. And what we do is we select one new startup in the Kansas City area, and we give them 3 months of complimentary legal services to really get them set up and started on the right path.
Patrick leverages the knowledge he obtained from his judicial clerkship to help his clients in the courtroom. Patrick says his years of preparing cases for mediation, arbitration, and trial has honed his negotiation and litigation skills.
Build a circle of trusted friends, advisors, whether that's coworkers, whether that's a mentor, and whether that's just non-attorneys. Having that network, about 4 to 5 people that you can call with stupid legal questions, or call with more just general advice on, hey, I have a situation, how do you think I should handle this?
Patrick attributes much of his success to his innate ability to synthesize complicated facts, legal theories, and damage calculations into digestible form that makes a compelling case to judges and juries.
Right as I started, the best career advice I received was always like the people you work with. And whether that is people in your firm that you work with or the clients you work with, make sure you like them, because you'll do so much better of a job for them.
Don McBride joined Greensfelder, Hemker and Gale in 2006 and is co-leader of the firm's financial services industry group. Before joining Greensfelder, Don worked in the mutual funds department of a nationally known brokerage firm in St. Louis, where he obtained practical experience in the securities industry.
Invest in yourself. And what I mean by that is, be deliberate with trying to expand on your skill sets. Be deliberate with trying to seek out opportunities to gain that experience. And the more that you invest in yourself, I think the better of an attorney you'll be.
Don specializes in securities litigation and dispute resolutions. His experience includes representing securities broker-dealers, registered investment advisors, and individual investment professionals in FINRA arbitrations and court litigation, as well as responding to regulatory inquiries.
I've been working from home a lot, so that's a big accomplishment. But I'd say the biggest thing would be probably adapting the practice to the realities of the pandemic. So before March of 2020, I had never even used the Zoom call. So being able to, prep witnesses, do depositions, do court hearings, on the record interviews virtually, and being able to kind of learn that. So just adapting the practice in light of the realities of how we're working now, I think that's been a big accomplishment of this year for me.
Partner Bradley Medcalf came to the firm in April of 2015. Bradley has found success on cases including workers' compensation, wrongful death, slip and fall, motor vehicle accidents, defective products, and premises liability. Bradley is a member of the Missouri Association of Trial Attorneys, Missouri Bar Association, the Eastern District Federal Court of Missouri, the Western District Federal Court of Missouri, 26th Judicial Circuit Local Bar, and the Missouri Young Lawyers Section, District 12.
Trust your gut as far as what you feel like is a genuinely real opportunity, and make sure that the folks that told you what they would do are following through on that. Because at some point, you're going to wake up 6 or 7 years later, kind of where I am now, and you're either going to be happy with that experience or you are not.
In his spare time, he enjoys watching and playing sports. He is involved in coaching his children's sports teams and other community gatherings and events. Brad and his wife, Kirsten, are proud parents of 3 children.
I've got involved with a local diaper bank. My wife is on the board for it, and I'm on the board for it. And for the first time, I've found time to kind of serve the local community beyond just, I'm busy, I'm working. While that's important and certainly necessary, it's been sort of fulfilling to have some purpose outside of that and get my kids to soccer practice or dance class.
Before attending law school, Samir Mehta worked for several years in the software industry, where he led a storage management production team. He now describes himself as a nerd focused on the bleeding edge. Samir focuses on helping client strategy stay on top of the ever-shifting landscapes of intellectual property and intellectual property litigation in high-technology spaces. He loves change and wants to guide you through it.
Your life and your career in law, hopefully, are going to be very long. And even though the economy right now could cause anxiety, this is just going to be one chapter of your career and one chapter of your life. If you can focus right now on developing the skills and pushing your ball forward, you're going to get to where you intended to go. Just think back to why you went to law school and focus on where you need to go, and you'll get yourself there.
Samir combines his wealth of software industry knowledge and deep legal experience to craft cutting-edge litigation strategies for his clients. Samir frequently represents companies in inter partes review before the Patent Trial and Appeal Board of the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office.
You define your career doesn't define you. The idea is basically, this is not a 1 or a 2 year thing. You're going to make opportunities. You won't have total control, but you will have a lot of control over your life.
Luke Merriweather is a partner in Lathrop GPM's Kansas City office, where he focuses his practice on intellectual property litigation. Luke has extensive experience litigating high-stakes patent, trademark, copyright, and trade secret disputes, both enforcement and defense, in federal courts throughout the United States, as well as the U.S. International Trade Commission and Patent Trial and Appeal Board.
I guess the biggest thing that I would say is just, your reputation does mean everything, and that's within your own firm. That's within the legal community. That's within, amongst your peers. And so really guard that. I mean, don't do anything that, puts that in jeopardy, because I think it really is important as you go along your career.
In addition to his vast litigation experience, Luke's practice also involves providing clients with IP business counseling and strategy, as well as risk management guidance. Luke is a former judicial law clerk to the Honorable Scott O. Wright at the United States District Court for the Western District of Missouri.
I had the good fortune of working clerking for Judge Scott Wright right out of law school at the Western District of Missouri. And I mean, I just have so many great moments coming from that. I mean, he's a kind of a once in a lifetime character, and he has since passed on, but I just learned so much from him and really, enjoyed getting to kind of learn under him through those 2 years.
Wow, what an incredible group of folks, and we still have more to introduce. Remember, we need your interaction with us either through social media at #MLM UpAndComing 2020 or through the chat area on our presentation. I see a lot of activity. Let's keep it going. Here's our next group of incredible attorneys we are highlighting today.
Prior to joining Dowd Bennett in 2014, Caitlin O'Connell was an associate at a law firm in Washington, D.C., where she represented a large financial institution in connection with internal, congressional, and executive agency inquiries. She currently represents clients in complex commercial and appellate litigation in federal and state courts nationwide.
Now in my practice at Dowd Bennett, I get to represent a lot of clients who are wonderful, and I find the work very intellectually stimulating. And I'm a general practitioner, and one of the things I really love about it is that I get to learn new things all the time.
Caitlin was also a Madison Fellow at Americans United for Separation of Church and State, focusing on appellate matters. Caitlin received her Doctor of Law degree from the Washington University in St. Louis School of Law.
In early May, we ended up getting a total victory, and not only a total victory, but the victory in the way that I had hoped the case would be decided. And so it was just a wonderful victory for our client, and it was certainly gratifying for me, having spent, I think from the end, I'd probably written 5 briefs in the Seventh Circuit on all those issues. So it was very gratifying, and certainly a nice victory to get in the midst of the pandemic as well.
Rachel Orr graduated cum laude from the University of Arkansas Law School. As an attorney for Armstrong Teasdale, she works in the Financial and Real Estate Services Group.
My biggest professional accomplishment this year was making partner. I made partner on January 1st of this year, and I think that was probably the biggest accomplishment I've had for the last couple of years. So,
her practice primarily focuses on all aspects of real estate development and capital financing transactions, including both taxable and tax-exempt offerings of bonds and other securities. She has extensive experience with municipal debt transactions, including both single and multifamily housing bonds, qualified tax credit bonds, qualified 501c3 bonds, variable rate healthcare revenue bonds, leasing and direct lending transactions, and small issue manufacturing bonds.
The biggest piece of advice I would give to you is a little bit of the golden rule to always be courteous and cordial to opposing counsel and to those on the other side of the transaction. The legal community is very small, and you just never know when you're going to encounter one of those attorneys again in the future and in what capacity.
Rachel also represents clients before the IRS in audit examinations of tax-advantaged bond issues. Lindsay Todd Perkins joined Stevie Siegel Hansen in 2013 and focuses her practice on legal writing and researching. Lindsay develops strategies and arguments for briefings to the court, interprets laws, rulings, and regulations, and drafts complaints, memoranda, and appellate briefs. Lindsay also focuses a significant portion of her practice on data and privacy litigation.
Another area of the law that I am heavily involved in is litigation against life insurance companies for breach of their universal life insurance policies. And one of these cases we brought on behalf of a statewide class of Missouri policy owners. And we actually went to trial on a class-wide basis, which is rare in and of itself, but we won that trial. The jury announced its verdict in favor of the Missouri policy owners in the amount of over $34 million.
Lindsay honed her legal writing and analysis skills during 2 clerkships after law school. She served as a law clerk for Judge Dwayne Benton of the U.S. Court of Appeals in the 8th Circuit and Judge Orty Smith of the U.S. District Court for the Western District of Missouri.
You have to learn as a lawyer by doing. And so right off the bat, you have to volunteer for projects and work that will put you out of your comfort zone, because that's the only way to get that work generally. And that's really also the only way you can learn. And so if it's a matter of taking a deposition, you feel like you don't know how to take a deposition, but if you volunteer to do one, the partners generally respect that.
Camille L. Rowe is an associate in the Overland Park, Kansas and Kansas City, Missouri offices of Jackson Lewis PC. Her practice covers the spectrum of employment litigation, including both state and federal claims. Ms. Rowe developed substantial trial experience, having litigated numerous labor and employment matters.
I was in trial, and in this particular case, the partner that I tried the case with trusted me to give the closing argument, which, you know, as a first timer, a second chair, is a rare occurrence. You know, it worked out well because we got a verdict in our client's favor. And so that was, it's a high that I cannot imagine I would ever experience again, but I was on cloud nine for at least 2 months after that. So it was great.
She conducts employment training seminars, harassment investigations, and frequently speaks on employment-related topics.
When you're studying, be focused on studying. Treat it like it's a job, because it is very challenging to go into law school, to go through the classes, to understand the concepts, like to fully understand them, so that hopefully, you can master them enough to be able to get a job when you graduate.
Prior to joining private practice, Ms. Rowe served as a law clerk to the Honorable Jack R. Great, Jackson County, Missouri Circuit Judge for the 16th Judicial Circuit. Aaron Sanders represents a variety of entities and individuals in a wide range of civil litigation at Blitz, Barget & Deutsch. Aaron's litigation practice focuses on the prosecution and defense of complex contract disputes, business torts, class actions, real estate and construction matters, employment disputes, and personal injury.
Wherever you're working, wherever you're at, you're there because of the success of somebody else, and don't be scared to lean on that. And you're going to learn way more by listening to the advice of those people that have come before you than you ever will at law school or any book you're reading or any law that you're reading about.
Aaron attended law school at the University of Missouri, where he graduated magna cum laude and served as the associate managing editor for the Missouri Law Environment and Policy Review. Following law school, Aaron clerked at the Eastern District of Missouri Court of Appeals and also worked defending individuals involved in personal injury litigation.
I worked on a pro bono case involving child custody dispute across international lines. And we helped a mother here in the United States be able to hold on to her 2 children in a custody dispute with a father that was down in South America. And that was a really, that meant so much to her, and therefore it meant so much to me. And that was really fulfilling. I'll always remember that case.
Hi, I'm Kevin Fleming. On behalf of everyone here at Blitz, Barget & Deutsch, we'd like to congratulate our colleague Aaron Sanders on his up-and-coming award. Aaron is an outstanding litigator, does great work for our clients, and we're proud he's part of our team. Congratulations, Aaron.
An associate attorney at Langdon and Emerson since 2018, Nicole Smith handles a wide variety of product liability and personal injury cases. She primarily assists with the firm's mass tort docket, which includes cases on behalf of individuals injured by defective vehicles, pharmaceutical products, and medical devices.
Any time that we have a successful case has kind of been a special moment. It's so rewarding and gratifying, and really just kind of the point of it all whenever we're able to help someone, and usually they have these injuries that have just changed their lives, and so they're very grateful, and that just really makes it all worth it.
Nicole is an integral part of the legal team at Langdon and Emerson, where her strong research and writing skills are used to serve her personal injury clients. A graduate of the KCMBA's Bar Leadership Academy, Nicole remains active in the legal community as a member of several professional organizations, including the AWL of Greater Kansas City and the KCMBA.
If you work hard, you can make it. Always be proactive and try to think ahead about how what you're doing might affect the case or your client. Not just in what you're immediately working on or responding to, but also down the road.
Nicole, congratulations on being named one of Missouri's top young lawyers. We love having you on our team.
Hey, Nicole, when we hired you, we knew you were up and coming and you would fit in great at Langdon and Emerson. So happy to have you, and great job on your award. It is so well deserved.
Julia Taylor is a partner in Denton's real estate practice. She landed in the commercial real estate industry by chance and says she's been in love ever since. Julia has helped numerous developers navigate the various challenges that come with building commercial real estate projects.
I think it's fun because you're constantly solving new and different problems, and it's a lot of times sort of like solving a puzzle. And the bonus is that you're helping people at the end, hopefully.
Julia's experience gives her a unique business perspective, allowing her to provide more effective and practical, solution-oriented advice to her clients. She advises her clients on risks and solutions while keeping the overall business strategies and goals in mind.
Ask a lot of questions. Not only is it a good way to learn, but it's also a good way to show that you're being thoughtful and thinking through problems and being proactive and asking, what's the next step in this transaction? What's the next thing I can do? What's the next pleading? And the more questions you can ask and show that you're engaged, I think the more others will invest their time and mentoring in you.
Julia works with clients throughout the country and even some internationally. Julia is a native Texan and graduated from the University of Texas Law School. Lisa Chukamangas moved to St. Louis from Ohio in 2007. She worked in finance for 7 years before pursuing a career in law to fulfill her passion for helping others.
Anytime that, we get to say your case is done, there's just this moment of gratefulness that they have and true appreciation. And so that's by far my favorite moment with each client.
She attended law school at St. Louis University, where she was selected to join the Alpha Sigma Nu Honor Society. Lisa practices in the area of complex personal injury litigation. Prior to joining Brown and Crouppen in 2016, Lisa practiced in the areas of real estate litigation, family law, unemployment compensation, as well as appellate work.
You really just have to remember that it is the practice of law. You have to keep trying at it. And as long as you try your best, you might not win, but you're not going to fail.
Lisa is a volunteer court-appointed special advocate and volunteers for various community programs. Paige Tungate, the daughter of 2 attorneys, followed her parents' footsteps into law. Paige earned her bachelor's degree in political science from Webster University. She then attended the University of Missouri School of Law, where she was an associate managing editor of the Journal of Dispute Resolution.
Only worry about the things that you can control, and then everything else will kind of fall into place. So if you take care of yourself and everything that you have the power to control, then you should be doing just fine.
Since joining Downey Law Group in May 2017, Paige has worked on a wide range of legal and professional ethics matters. Prior to joining Downey Law Group, Paige worked at 2 mass-tort plaintiff law firms in the St. Louis area.
I've been doing a lot of presentations for my firm, so it's just getting that experience and putting on CLEs, both with my boss and also by myself, just getting the opportunity to present to an audience and also argue substantive motions through Zoom or in court have been some major accomplishments for me, and just to continue getting that experience.
Outside of practicing law, Paige enjoys playing tennis, attending concerts, and supporting her favorite sports teams. Before Ryan Turnage joined Schnuck Markets Inc. as litigation counsel in 2016, he was already well acquainted with the grocery chain. As a St. Louis native, he has known about Schnucks all his life. As an undergraduate, he studied political science and English at St. Louis University, where he also earned his law degree.
For as long as I can remember, even going back to grade school, I've always wanted to be a lawyer. I always had a strong awareness, even at a young age, for a passion for what I believe is just and unjust, and also the need to speak up in situations that I thought were unfair or needed advocacy. So I think my passion and inspiration kind of came from there.
He has practiced at the office of former Missouri Treasurer Clint Zweifel as Assistant General Counsel, and later he became an associate at Rynearson, Seuss, Schnurbush, and Champion.
I started at that law firm, and the named partner at the law firm asked me how was I doing. And I told him, I said, I'm still learning, like trying to catch on and figure things out. And he smiled at me, chuckled, and said, me too. And the thing that struck me in that situation is he was the named partner for the law firm. He had been practicing law for, I think, more than 40 years. And I would have assumed that he would have known, kind of what he was doing. But what it taught me was to always be in a position to learn.
He also handled family law cases on a volunteer basis with Legal Services of Eastern Missouri. In his spare time, Turnage enjoys spending time with his wife and 3 young children, and playing music, primarily through his church.
You find a good balance between humility and dignity in your interactions with people, because I think the practice of law and just life in general is about people and your relationships with people.
Another great group of honorees. And let's keep social media and chat buzzing today. Remember, MLM Up and Coming 2020. It is now my privilege to introduce our final group of honorees. This is our law firm leaders category. Honorees selected for this award are already in full leadership roles within their firms or organizations at such an early stage of their careers. Let's meet them now.
Attorney Paul Dix focuses his practice on representing families affected by mesothelioma and asbestos exposure. Paul started at Simmons Hanley Conroy in 2004 as a law clerk and has also clerked for the Illinois Supreme Court and Madison County State's Attorney's Office. He attended St. Louis University, where he graduated magna cum laude with his BA in Economics and Political Science before earning his Juris Doctor.
We have moved our office and our practice fully remote from New York to the Midwest here where I'm located to California. All of our folks have transitioned to a full remote office place. Our clients nationwide, we haven't missed a beat, and that was no small task. It was a Herculean feat to accomplish.
Paul volunteers for a number of public interest and non-profit groups, including St. Mary's Catholic Church in Alton. Prior to becoming an attorney, he worked at a non-profit legal clinic that represented individuals who were harmed by the wrongdoing of others.
Be principled, stand up for what you believe in, but also you've got to listen to both sides. You've got to see an argument or an issue or a position from multiple vantage points.
Kirsten Holseder joined Spencer Fane in 2010 and became a partner in 2017. She is a full-service litigator for financial services companies. She defends a wide range of claims asserted against financial institutions, including claims for breach of contract, wrongful foreclosure, invasion of privacy, and interference with business relationships.
I finished up a 3-week jury trial in Kansas City, and it was it was a long haul for a couple of years, and we represented some individuals on the defense side. And so we were able to get a judgment in their favor on multiple counts. And I will just never forget the sigh of relief that we felt from those individuals, and just feeling this weight off their shoulders was probably the best feeling ever.
With an undergraduate degree in accounting, Kirsten understands financial transactions in a way that enables her to develop damage theories for clients prosecuting lawsuits and to calculate potential exposure for clients defending a lawsuit, which is instrumental in devising an appropriate defense strategy and analyzing the business implications early in a case.
I went to law school without any family members who were lawyers or any sort of experience with the law, and so I just got really good at asking questions and not being afraid to ask for help when I didn't know what was going on.
Kirsten's breadth of experience as a financial services litigator has enabled her to counsel her clients with the goal of avoiding lawsuits. She has provided compliance training on debt collection best practices related to consumer protection and privacy statutes. Kirsten graduated from the University of Iowa College of Law. After college and law school at Harvard, E.E. Keenan clerked for a federal judge, which gave him an inside view of the court system. Afterwards, he said he went into law practice to help folks like the family and friends he remembered from when he was a kid.
Like many lines of work, once you get into it, there can be a million distractions, a million siren songs that are tempting you to get down a path that might seem appealing at first, but is going to involve you sacrificing your commitments to your family, to your values, to the reason that you got into this in the first place. Listen to your inner voice. Listen to the people who are closest to you, who know your soul and who know what drives you. Don't listen to the noise.
Keenan says he enjoys reading books, especially Joyce, and writing poetry. He is a runner and particularly interested in politics. In his spare time, he is learning French and Hindi.
One of the experiences we'd had for many years was the resistance of a lot of lawyers and frankly courts to doing things remotely. And now we're seeing that change. Everybody in the profession is needing to do things remotely.
Joseph A. Lamson received his Juris Doctor from Washington University School of Law in St. Louis and holds a degree in philosophy from Brigham Young University in Provo, Utah. He has worked at the Marriage Law Foundation, where he assisted in preparing an article published by the Harvard Journal of Law and Public Policy. After returning to St. Louis, he joined a prominent area family law firm in Clayton and was made a partner in 2012. In 2014, Lamson left to become a founding member of the law firm of Coulter Lamson LLC.
Don't sacrifice your integrity. It takes a lifetime to build up a good reputation and nothing more than a minute to ruin all of that hard work.
Lamson focuses his practice on high-asset divorce and complex child custody matters. He was also one of the first attorneys in the St. Louis area to start practicing in the area of school bullying and cyberbullying.
As a firm, something that I'm really proud about is that we didn't actually have to downsize at all. We were able to keep, even though we were a relatively small firm, we were able to keep all of our employees fully employed throughout the pandemic. And we're actually expanding our business at this point in time. And that's something that I'm very, very proud of because it has been a challenging year. And so for us to be able to turn 2020 into a year of growth, I think was a real achievement.
Lamson was a founder and the former president of the Hispanic Bar Association in metropolitan St. Louis and is fully fluent in Spanish. He currently lives in St. Louis County with his wife and 2 children. After receiving his Bachelor of Science in Mathematics and Economics from the University of Kansas, Derek McKay decided to pursue a legal career focusing on the needs of business people and professionals. He is a graduate of DePaul University College of Law.
One of the best things we've had some couple people come in and work with us that are in undergrad, and going to law school and being a lawyer is obviously 2 totally different things. And it's hard to know whether you wanted to be a lawyer unless you can see what happens or what is the practice of law truly like.
Derek has been a member at Knight Nicastro McKay LLC since 2018. He practices in all areas of civil litigation with a focus on serious personal injury and wrongful death.
Our firm has expanded from, I think, 11 of us to 67 of us. So we've expanded quite fast.
Johnny Simon is a native of St. Louis, Missouri, and he will tell you simply, he is a trial lawyer. Johnny focuses his practice on a diverse array of personal injury cases, including litigating cases involving defective products, product liability issues, medical malpractice claims, 1983 excessive force cases, trucking and auto accidents, business litigation, and consumer fraud.
Find opportunities to learn and keep learning. And, kind of just whatever it is, take it on and learn from it. It's called the practice of law for a reason. And, if you do that, you'll look back in 5 years and just realize, whoa, how much I've learned.
Johnny graduated from Marquette University, obtaining a degree in business, finance, and economics. He obtained a law degree from Boston College Law School. Outside of the courtroom, Johnny is a husband, father, son, brother, and nephew. His hobby? Thinking of ways to make his client's case better.
It was a medical malpractice case we tried in the city of St. Louis, and I still stay in touch with her. She was a little girl who got, severely injured due to medical negligence, and we were able to secure a large verdict for her to take care of her for the rest of her life. I'm still in touch with the family. They call me all the time. I'd like to say we're family, and anything that they need going forward, I'll be there for them.
A round of virtual applause and social media high fives again for all of our honorees this afternoon. And I again warmly thank our VIP sponsors, Blitz, Barget and Deutsch, the Gorney Law Firm, Langdon and Emerson, Thompson Coburn, Simmons, Hanley, Conroy, and our gold sponsor, the Bar Plan. Again, this event would not be possible without their support. I also want to thank all of our guests today who interacted through hashtag MLM Up and Coming 2020. Remember the ampersand, and through chat. Keep the comments and the photos posting and trending for the next several days so we can continue the celebration just a little longer. I know we all look forward to the day when we can come together in person, but until then, thank you for prioritizing the celebration of excellence in a format that allows us to be together safely. Visit our website at molawyersmedia.com to watch the event again or to learn more about all of today's honorees. And on behalf of Missouri Lawyers Media, thanks for joining us today. We'll see you soon.